Welcome to Renegade Thinkers Unite, featuring the sharpest minds in marketing, inspirational case histories, and weekly insights you can apply to your business. Find out why top CMOs rank this podcast among their favorites. Now, here's your host, Chief Marketing Renegade, Drew Nizer.
Hey, it's Drew, and I'm kind of excited because we're experimenting here. We're actually filming and taping at the same time. Yeah. My guest is Ryan Urban. What's your title?
CEO.
CEO and founder.
I'm actually going by the mayor now.
The mayor. Nice, because we might need one.
I'm the mayor of Chinatown.
The mayor of Chinatown. And you are the CEO of BounceX.
Yes.
And not everybody knows what BounceX, but I understand that your employees and your customers definitely know who you are.
Yes.
For a lot of good reasons. I did notice that you are number 7 on the 2018 Inc. fastest growing company list.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cool. Are you kidding me? It's amazing. So that's one. And then I think I saw you raise $31 million in VC funding. And then I also heard you say, well, we don't want to raise that much.
No. Yep.
That's a lot of money.
Yep.
So, and you don't look as old as I do, which means that somebody put a lot of trust in you. What is it that you think?
How old do you think I am, by the way?
I'm going to say you're in your 30s.
That's a
I know. I'm being
Be more specific.
34.
Plus 5. All right.
There you go. Oh,
yeah, 39.
39. Okay. Always guess young.
I always guess old.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to guess on my age.
I can't wait till I turn 50.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Well, it's cool. It's a good day. Yeah. They're all good.
I would swap hair right now with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just happy I have them. My age.
You have great hair.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah. This is why we're recording the video now.
Right. Well, and so speaking of hair, I know that for you, standing out is important. You've talked about that and you've talked about the hair specifically in articles. Talk a little bit about your feelings about personal branding and branding.
I think it's not that standing out's important. It's being authentic is very important. And I think constantly kind of being yourself, but finding yourself and putting yourself out there. And so I do that.
Well, I mean, your hair is distinctive. You're wearing a scarf today. You're the first person who I've been on video who's had a scarf on, so that's cool. You're also the first person that we've recorded live on video, I gotta tell you. All right. And, what's that about? Pretty goth.
It's pretty goth, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone in my company called me the Chris Angel of Tech.
Nice.
So I had to kind of live up to the moniker.
Okay, the Chris Angel of Tech. I think we know everything we need to know now. Okay, so we've got a personal brand invested in you, but the business is growing very well. I noticed that you also were among the best places to work in New York City, right?
Yeah, I think actually that's more important than if you have a good place to work, then you could attract really great people. And if you continue to build on that, then you can keep and develop those people, and then you can have a good business. So it starts with those kind of things. And you know what? Like, I want to be at a place where I want to come in. I love the people I work with. It's fun. We do things a little bit differently. That's what I want for myself. And like what I said before, it's like, hey, you got to be able to be authentic. We're in New York. This is an authentic place. You got to be yourself on yourself. So it kind of starts with that. And, the personal brand stuff, I really didn't even think about that till recently. I'm like, oh, but it's about how can I benefit everyone in the company, benefit Bounce? And all right, I'm a very boring person. So I figured if I kind of go out there, then, that kind of gives us a little more exposure too. And make more connections with people like you, Drew. So.
There you go. All right. So I'm not sure about the boring factor, but we'll find out soon enough.
I thought it was April 1st.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So employer brands is an interesting thing and one that is really important to me personally as I work on my second book. And one of the things that we think marketers ignore and have backwards, particularly B2B marketers, is they think about prospects, then customers, then employees.
That's right. B to boring. Yeah, B2B's got to step up.
B to boring. So, yep. So when I think about employers and employee brands and marketing, what I'm talking about is when a brand is developing a new campaign, they often don't talk to their employees enough about it to develop it, and then they don't give it enough time internally to make the new brand promise real.
Right.
So essentially what that means is you've just, hey, we have this house. No, we're going to color it. We're going to put a new coat of paint on it. It's pink. And instead of purple or blue, and we're going to market. And by the way, employees, you're going to love this new color. There's nothing real.
There's no momentum built up. And look, we've made the same mistake, and something, and it's one thing like kind of changing your visual identity, but like kind of your value proposition, your other identity. You really got to get a lot of buy-in on that. One major adjustment we made, we're shopping for a new office. This was a little over a year ago, about a little over a year ago. And, it's kind of, I think the most iconic building in New York is the World Trade Center. And I don't know.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. You meant the Empire State Building, right?
The Empire State Building 70 years ago, yes.
We'll take this one offline. Empire State Building is a client of ours.
Oh yeah.
just to be clear,
No, yeah.
they're our only B2C client.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Actually, when people come in from out of town and visit New York, one of the first things I take them to, there's 3 things I always do. 1, walk the High Line. 2, I go to Grand Central, usually on a Sunday, and I do the little like whisper trick,
right.
And then you go to the market. And 3, usually on a Friday or Saturday night when it's warm, like 1 a.m., I go to Empire State Building because it's open at 2 a.m. If you go 1 a.m., there's no line.
Yep.
And you're on the top of the world, and it's pretty magnificent. So.
Okay.
There's some good stuff there.
Right.
But,
however,
I don't necessarily want to work on 5th and 32nd. So,
okay.
But, so if, I thought like an amazing office would be, at the World Trade Center, and, there's some floors that no one's ever moved into, like floor 74, 75. And, that was something if our company was there, it'd be a really special place, but you can't just say, hey, we're going there. It's something you have to like really, really get a lot of internal buy-in and brand.
Right.
And we did, I took who were the mobilizers of my company and, the person who led our design team and a few other people. And we wound up we let it happen organically. And it was the company had to decide whether we were going to go there and do this and bid flagship tech 10 or not. And we did 20 something tours. The people at One World Trade would set up like bounce X branding the way in. And you know what? People in the company would go there, start videotaping it, posting on their Instagram stories. And like a few months in, it was clear that we couldn't go anywhere else but that place. And and we needed to represent New York and go there. So, but if I just kind of did the campaign and say, here's the new thing.
Guess what? We're moving.
Yeah. And then we also changed a lot of policies like, hey, let's kind of relax some of the work from home policies. You live in Westchester. A lot of people work from home on Friday. Overall, like whenever you make a move, the commutes, it's going to benefit some, not other people. But if you're at a place that's near like 13 subway lines, Lucy and I are on the way here. We used to be in the New York Times building, which is also an iconic building, even though it's a newer one. Love that. We're on the 21st floor. Natural light is so underrated. I used to think natural light was a gimmick. Like fireplaces. Fireplaces aren't.
No, it's really about health. It really does.
Yeah.
If the lighting is bad, it's bad for employee health. So I want to stop you because everything that you said there is all the steps that you took are really what internal marketing in my mind is about. And so you were selling the idea we're moving and we're going to move together this fabulous space, but it's no different in my mind than how you would try to sell in a new marketing campaign built on some kind of new promise, right? And hopefully a new product idea that's baked in.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. So all that's cool. How do you sort of measure employee sort of satisfaction? What are the key metrics there? Because when we're selling in a new campaign, it's pretty easy. Are they aware of it? Do they like it? Do they embrace it? Do they participate? Do they advocate? But how do you look at, or do you even bother?
No, we do. We do a whole bunch of things. One, you could just see, you could look at some facts like attrition. You could look at tenure of people. So yeah, attrition is a really important thing. We do surveys, but we don't want to burden people with like a million surveys,
right.
But at least once you do a manager survey, you put a few questions there. We used to do this thing every week, called Tiny Pulse. We've made the adjustment now on a quarterly basis, doing different, kind of surveys around when you're doing your performance review. And it's something that You want it to take less than 30 minutes of time. You want to allocate time for everyone to do it. And yeah, there's some questions that are really effective. Like, hey, if you had a friend nearly as talented as you, would you recommend that they work at Bounce? And you could also look at referral rates,
right.
And employee referral rates. Are you happy to come to work today? And then there's a whole bunch of like the Gallup poll questions I think are really, really good too. Like, do you have a friend at work? And like at our company, that's like a funny question because people do have a lot of friends. But if you ask that at Google and Facebook, you're not going to get that. Those are kind of empty places.
Interesting. All right. Well, I want to wrap up this segment because it's been really tight on building an employee brand. I know you have established some new values for the company. You had to move into a new space where you could sort of bring that brand to life. You survey the employees.
We articulated the values.
Right.
It's something we built up over 6 years, and then we just figured out how to articulate them.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about your business and some of the insights that you've gained that will help B2B marketers in particular sort of optimize websites and do some
and not be B2 boring.
Not be B2 boring. Okay, we're going to take a break. Did you know that Renegade Thinkers Unite was ranked number 2 of the top 10 podcasts for CMOs by Crackerjack Marketing? Wow, we're really honored. Now, we couldn't do that without amazing guests, and we've had some amazing CMOs on this show, and also terrific listeners like you all. If you like what we do here, please subscribe on your favorite podcast player. That way, you'll never miss an episode. Also, as a special thanks, I'd like to send you a free ebook on Renegade Thinkers. Now, for that, just email drew@renegade.com. Now, let's get back to the show. Okay, we're back, and my guest is Ryan Urban from BounceX, and who is the CEO of BounceX and founder of BounceX?
The mayor.
And the mayor of, well, now I guess you're going to...
The mayor, no term limits.
No term limits.
CEO is a little too authoritative.
And we were talking about B2 boring.
Yeah.
And your company specializes, as far as I can tell, in helping folks sort of optimize. Someone's coming to the website and making sure that experience is as personal, that you actually connect with those visitors and so forth. What do you see as sort of, when you look at the landscape at B2 boring brands and you go to their websites, what are the sort of first things that you see that make you go, oh gosh, what's wrong with that? That's bad.
There's no story, there's no life. So it's a whole bunch of coagulated, like congealed buzzwords.
Acronyms.
There's just no personality, no authenticity to it. So that's kind of what you need. And I think I think even we can do a better job of it. It's, you should see what a company stands for when you go to their site. You should feel it. And, it's a lot of the B2B companies, they think they're playing it safe, but they're actually playing it risky by just not only being boring, but having no life. So, you have to tell your brand story, what you do stand for. And some of the adjustments we're making, we're going to put a lot more kind of video case studies, ungated on our homepage. Like we put just giant quotes, like, we try to do things a little bolder. But I think we're going to humanize it way more.
Right. Because
B2B is like very like, hey, we're up here, you're down here, right? We're enterprise. Like, we have this big wall behind us, right? We have this 1,000-person company and we sell enterprise software. It's got to be way more human. So,
so we've got a story, we're humanizing it. All right, and someone comes into the website, and this is where your magic starts to happen, right? You guys can identify visitors and sort of connect them and then personalize that experience.
Yeah, I mean, we never thought we'd be in this kind of recognize a visitor space, but there's two ways to kind of improve your online website. Or two ways to grow whatever you're trying to do, grow your revenue, get more meetings, whatever you're trying to accomplish for your website. And it's so simple. It's basic arithmetic. You could either get more traffic, and you can pay Google and Facebook a lot of money, and you can get press, and you can do your things to get more traffic. But the whole other side of the coin, which is you can improve the rate at which that traffic converts. there was really not a lot of people focused on that. There was like, oh, here's some baby testing software. Go figure that out. Go test the headline, right? So, we just said, hey, we're going to do this other side of the world. And it just happens we went down a path of, hey, if you're able to kind of recognize who a visitor is, then, hey, then you can kind of roll the red carpet and kind of make a way more relevant experience. And also not just on the website, but hey, how do you make any email you send or any communication just truly one-to-one? We only do stuff that's one-to-one. So we invented most forms of triggered email, everything outside of cart abandonment we invented. And, it's like, what are the things that people want to get? And just think from a consumer standpoint. So I say we're B2B to C to C. So, and I've just made this up. So B2B is business to business.
Cause that's who you're selling to.
Yeah. So BBC is, business to business consumer. So we're selling to businesses that sell to consumers, right? So we're not selling other companies to other businesses, but we really think about our customers first. Well, actually, we think about our employees first, and I think putting yourself first is okay. So I think at Bounce, we put our employees first, then we put our customers first, which is B2B, CC. So that's at the last C is a really important thing. And then when you think from that person's perspective, it's like, okay, who is that person? Who's that? We don't look at visitors. We look at them as humans. So people.
Wait, they're humans?
They're humans.
You sure?
They're not hits. It's not traffic. It's not users, right? They're actual people, right? So who's the person there? What's going to benefit them, and when's the right time to ask that person? So we just built business around that. So we got to recognize people, figure out what's going to benefit them, when's the right timing for that, how do you interact with them? They're on the website and through email and other channels. So, it's just simply starting with kind of humans and benefiting humans.
Okay.
And
I got to cut you off because there are way too many good nuggets in there. We have to break them down.
Yeah.
So first,
chicken nuggets?
Yeah.
What's your favorite dipping sauce?
I'm a mustard guy.
A mustard, like regular mustard, honey mustard?
Like a horseradishy mustard.
Horseradish mustard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You?
I like a lot of variety in my life. I'll do like a buffalo ranch on one side. I like a spicy barbecue, and I'll do mustard. I could do a honey mustard, a horseradish stuff if I'm a little nasally. Maybe I'll do that. But
yeah, it clears out the sinuses. All right.
I mix some sauce. I create my own
things.
So,
and I think this is highly relevant because we're being humans, human to human, as we're talking about, and human to human communication. But I had one insight when I was watching an interview that you did with a woman from Inc. About your business. The problem that you solve in a very simple word is bounce rate. That's the problem. That's why your name is BounceX. That was a light bulb moment for me. It's like, oh, I get it. Bouncing, and anybody who's ever managed any kind of website knows that bounce rates are an issue. And you look at that and you go, oh my God. Cause I remember a client with like a 90% bounce rate. It's like, wait, we got to fix this. And we're not in the web business, so fortunately, so it wasn't our cause. But, so solving the bounce rate problem, if you start there, if we just start at that point and say someone came in. Now, there's a big part of it this is like for renegade.com, people search the word renegade. We come up first because we own the URL renegade.com, which is kind of cool. But it means that there's a lot of people who come to our site who are thinking they're going to see something else. They don't really know.
Yeah.
So those people leave. Fine. See ya, because they're not really.
That's not the opportunity.
That's right. The opportunity is when the right person, a marketer comes in and says,
that's right.
Well, who the heck are those renegade guys and what are they doing? And what we want to do, of course, is make it easy for them to get to the information that they thought they needed in order to give us a call. Right? Or hit the email button. So and this is, I know you're doing it for B2C brands, but as we're trying to, what are sort of the things that we need to even have on our landing page to start helping this bounce rate issue go down?
Yeah. Or just on the homepage in general. Okay. So, the way I used to think was like that, where it's like, oh, what's the problem your business is trying to solve? And you look at any VC funded company, it's problem solution. Right. I don't think that way anymore.
Okay.
And
you're thinking bigger.
I definitely thinking bigger, but I think problem solution is wrong. And it's more about what's the biggest opportunity. And sometimes your biggest opportunity is not solving the problem. It's more often than not, or almost always, it's what are you doing well? How do you maximize your strengths? So maximizing strengths, it's what's the biggest opportunity for impact. And if you go back to our business, we're solving the bounce rate problem, but we were looking to do that. But it turns out, just like you said, hey, you're getting all these bounces from people coming on the word renegade, but that wasn't really relevant. The opportunity is, who are the people that are going to your website and calling you and filling out information right now? And who are the people who are thinking about doing it? Where are you most successful? How do you become more successful in that really relevant pocket? So it's not about say, hey, who's bouncing and how do you get them to go to another page? It's who's really engaging and how do you get them to take that next step or engage a little deeper. So that was the magic moment for us, is when we got away from problem solution and more into like, how do you maximize your strengths and what's the biggest opportunity for impact? So, I would see like, hey, what are the things that, I would just talk to the people who actually contact you, do that and say, hey, what was your path? Like, what made you decide to contact us? What did you read on the website? Like, ArtSec happens to be able to see that stuff. And is it a case study, a video? What's the language? You'll see when people navigate your website, you'll have all this information on the homepage. They'll barely go through that. They'll go to other pages. So it's what's the most important content. You need to reinforce it everywhere. The most successful marketing organization of all time. It's not Apple. It's the Catholic Church. And what they do really well is they reinforce over and over and over again. And I think marketers, especially B2B marketers, are afraid of, they think they use the word redundant. And it's not. You need even as anyone in the advertising industry knows, you need to hear, you watch a commercial 3 to 5 times before it's effective, a radio ad 5 to 10 times before it really settles in. But on our website, we'll have the one most important piece of information buried below the fold and say it once. So the most critical things to your story, to your value prop, your selling prop for what you represent, you need to reinforce it over and over and over and over again, the same way in different ways everywhere, on every section, every page. And I think what B2B companies really miss is what they stand for to employees. They don't really talk about, like, I came in here, you have a red stripe fridge. He has tall boy red stripes. His red stripe fridge with tall boys. I've never seen this before. So when I leave, I'm going to come back to the office like Drew, we got to get a tall boy fridge. Right? So it's very unique. And I come in, there's really good energy, tall ceilings in the office. It's like, how do you treat the people who work at the company? And why do people want to work there and highlight those people? And like, that's something that we're going to do a lot more on our site. We've always done that with kind of the Muse, and we've put a lot of cultural stuff, but we put in the career section. And now we're going to really move that, like now in our boilerplate or, the way we talk about us, we speak much more about internal and how we treat each other. And, I think that's the big opportunity.
Very cool. All right. We're going to take another break. And, when we come back, we're going to keep talking. How's that?
Great.
You've been listening to another great interview on Renegade Thinkers Unite with Drew Neiser. But the value doesn't end there. As a listener, you can download a free ebook from Drew, Renegade Thinkers, interviews with 11 trailblazing CMOs any business can learn from. Top marketing thought leaders and proven executives from Time Warner, American Express, and Chico's, and others. Get your free copy at renegadethinkersunite.com/ebook. For listeners only at renegadethinkersunite.com/ebook.
Okay, we are back for the final segment. My guest, Ryan, Urban Bounce X, Mayor in Perpetuity.
Yeah, no term limits.
No term limits. So I love the fact that in the first part of a conversation and the second part of a conversation, it kept coming back to employees and why that is so important, and how brands can keep that in mind. But before we get back there, you were talking about repetition, and I've actually seen studies that suggest that it really takes about 24 different impressions to sink deep into someone's soul so that you really understand a brand and are committed to a brand. 24 times. Completely with you in the Department of Redundancy department, which is an old Monty Python skit, that you do need to tell the same story. It needs to be a focused story. We talk about a 6-word purpose-driven story statement that embodies the whole idea, and that we should be able to discover that right away, and then everything should sort of roll back to that.
That's right. And there could be some sequentialness, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but the same thing, the same message, you need to enforce that.
And so what do you think right now is the core of the Bounce X brand in terms of that message?
Well, taking a step away from Bounce X, I think it's really important if you happen to get someone to go to your website, which is really, really difficult, right? Like, one of the things you need to have you need to have great videos, great headlines, just personality all over the page. But the simple thing people forget, and where B2B marketers aren't good at, you see when they do paid search, they'll do a landing page and it'll have like a whole bunch of input fields and say, hey, to get this guide, you do this thing, right? But on their website, they're very bad at continuing conversation. So the way to continue a conversation when someone's on your website, there's two ways. One, because that person's going to leave your website at some point, right? And it is people. So way number one is you hope and pray they come back. Maybe they leave the tab open, and third tab, you hope and pray they come back. The second way to continue a conversation is offer something in value for them to put in their email and maybe their phone number. So BounceX, we're very good at doing this ourselves, but for all of our clients, it's like, okay, what's the benefit of that person being on your email list where you're going to contact them? What are all the benefits for that person? And we help figure that out. And, it's sometimes there's not enough benefit. Like, say, hey, you have to have a much better benefit.
Right.
So It doesn't matter if the Nikes of the world, if it's publishers, we figured out how to get people to opt in emails on almost every major publisher to CNN. And part of it was like coming up with more relevant stuff, more benefits to the consumer there. So a B2B company, it's what is something of value you could do a fair exchange for with the prospect consumer on the other side, and figure out what those things are. And different people on your website, they're going to have different things that benefit them. So that's why we had to build technology to say, hey, these are different people. They're in different sections. Let's offer them different benefits. So that's the most important thing. Then you could continue the conversation over email, and you can remarket to them.
All right.
Or reinforce your message.
My language for that is the give to get economy. You got to give value, and you may have to give 2, 3, 4 things, in order to get the consumers or your prospects' attention and or their email address. You've got to give. Okay. So someone's coming to a B2B website, and what kind of value are we talking about? And your tools
give me an example of any B2B company.
All right. Let's see. Let's just go with, I don't want to put a client out there. So how about ADP?
ADP.
Right.
Great. So ADP does payroll.
Right.
And they do a lot for large businesses, medium business, and small business. So let's say it's large businesses, right? So if someone comes to ADP's website, first is this someone an ADP client or not? So if it's an ADP client,
I have first party data, so I know that.
Yeah. Well, if they're logged in,
right?
So they might not be logged in.
Okay.
But if they are, it's like, okay, well, what other ADP might want to? They might have some other services outside of payroll that are beneficial to that person. So they need to know who that person is and say, okay, well, what's this next product? Maybe it's helping them consolidate vendors or save money on something. So if that's the case, I'd say, hey, I would put out a 50-page piece of content, like a real long-form piece of content that's the best in the industry about consolidating vendors and saving money and how important it is to save money by doing this. And really the authoritative content in whatever that product is. And then I'd say, hey, we just put out this 2019 report on really how to consolidate, save money. Would you like to access this report for free? And they say yes. It's like, great. Well, here, where should we send this to you? And maybe you get some more information about, you already have their contact information, but hey, are you interested in this? So you could do some pre-qualifying questions there. And if someone is a prospect someone is interested in just doing payroll, I would have a real, you could have how small businesses like you have switched to ADP and save money and time and have efficiency. Or I'd put out like, hey, I'd come out with a cost savings calculator or efficiency calculator, something to give away to these small businesses. And in exchange for that, then you're going to give me your name, your email, your phone number, your number of employees, your estimated annual revenue, whatever it is to qualify.
Do I need all that information?
You can take the minimal information. What I usually do is I'd ask for the minimum, and then after they submit their information, hey, if you answer these 2 or 3 questions, we can send you more qualified, more relevant content and get you to, and shortcut you and get you to more qualified rep. And usually you get 80 or 90% of people to fill out those questions if you word it to why you're asking for them and what's the benefit to them. So I call it the post submit.
So, got that. So what we're just talking about is sort of really good content that is enough to get someone to say who they are. what I had the impression was that you can do that on a more personalized basis, even much more granularly, because you talk about one-on-one. And maybe we have to move to B2C to get sort of clarity on that, because I can't produce 50-page white papers for every single visitor, right?
No.
Can't do that kind of research. And so,
but for each one of if you're a B2B company, you might only have 5 solutions. So if you have a solution,
right,
if you sell something, one, it should be the best product out there. And I kind of like race to the top. I want to have the most premium product, and we probably charge 5 times more than any of our competitors. So we'll just have the best quality product, the best quality service. We'll do a few things. We'll do them much better than everyone else, and we'll charge not fair price. We'll be very expensive because we're worth it. So I think if you are going to put out a product or you have a service, you should also put out the best piece of content around that benefits people on that, and maybe some free, like, kind of organic content. But if you have something that's verbose,
right, and
really long form,
right,
and if you can't put out the best piece of content on that thing you're selling, then don't sell it. You should have the best product, the best service, and the best piece of content on that.
So it's interesting. So you see yourself as a super premium brand in the category. You charge more.
Yeah.
And so
we provide more value.
And you provide more value. And so how do you prove that value? How do you demonstrate that value to prospects?
I mean, for us, it's really easy. We sell to CMOs and VPs of e-commerce, and we don't really poll them of what we should build. We observe. And how we observe is, like, we figure out how they're gold on. And it turns out it's really simple. Like, marketers are gold on growth and revenue. So they need to increase revenue by 10%, 30%. So for us, it's like any product we roll out has to increase revenue. And it's like, if we happen to improve the website experience and the one-to-one email experience, it increases revenue. And how is that measured? Well, we have our analytics, but clients have their own analytics. So we said, hey, let's make sure that anything we do can be measured in our clients' analytics, and they can see independently the increase in revenue growth we drive. And then we'll be able to, if we do that much better than competitors, we don't need to use buzzwords or anything like that, and we can just have the results, and we can charge a premium for that and build a reputation.
And so, all right, tying to revenue, real smart, because you can say to your client, hey, you want to grow 10%, we can do that.
And by the way, being on the revenue growth side, there's cost savings and there's revenue, cost savings, time savings, and revenue. You can charge way more for the revenue side. So if you have both those things, anyone listening here, optimize towards the revenue side, growing revenue. Just there's bigger budgets for that stuff. So, and we got into like this media budget, which is great because we can drive clear revenue growth. That's in our customers' analytics.
So the money for you is coming out of media?
Typically, yeah.
And
after a test budget, it's a growth budget, and the growth budget, a lot of it's kind of the same budget people spend Google, Facebook, brand dollars. It's that we're in the growth budget,
right? And in
B2B, drive growth,
right? And again, your customers are consumers, right? Because you basically work with e-commerce sites. That's your core.
Yeah.
And those folks that are hiring you have a sole purpose, which is to increase yield and get more people to their website.
That's right.
That's it.
Yep.
I mean, obviously they want to, increasing yield is not just yield of the customer visits, but it's also optimizing, sale per customer over a long time. Have you developed a product that also helps in that area in terms of, helping them get more, increased lifetime value per customer?
Yeah. Yep.
So that makes it pretty,
we do everything but get that first person to come to the website for the first time. So that's the only thing we don't do right now. And then we'll eventually do that too. Google and Facebook and TV dollars, that will get that first in the website for the first time. And once that happens, we go for
it. The minute they arrive.
The
second they arrive, the nanosecond that they arrive, you are ready to help your customers optimize that experience.
That's right.
Identify that individual, give them something personal and value that can then convert.
Yeah, just have an internet or a website that's made for you and an email that's made for you.
There you go. So I've talked to a number of people on this show that would have different opinions on certain aspects of what you're doing or variations.
Yep.
I had Dave Gerhardt from Drift on the show, and their solution is that it's not about gated forms, it's about conversations, and it's about so they have these little bots chatbots, which are very common on B2B these days, but also the opportunity for human chat. Any thoughts? Have you experimented at all in that world?
Yes. And there's a big difference when you're SMB and enterprise. When you're selling SMB, if you're like MailChimp, if you have if you're like Shopify, where 90 or 50% of the people at your website are qualified, like to be hyper aggressive with live chat, live chat's like, when you get to a website, live chat thing comes up, that's like the mall, you have the kiosks and the people coming up to you, grabbing every person, hey, do you want this health file, right? That's the product of live chat, everyone getting there. And you know what? Those kiosks definitely sell more stuff. They annoy the hell out of a lot of people.
Right, but they're effective.
The problem is, it's when you have a website like yours, a website like mine, where you're very particular about who you work with. We probably have 1,000 companies in our target market, and in a real target market. And, we obviously get 30, we're getting 50 times that amount of people to our website every month. So for us, it's like maybe 1% of the people come to our website, really people we want. So having proactive live chat or even live chat at all, even a phone number, is actually harmful to us. We need to be way more surgical. So that doesn't really make sense. And yeah, you could talk about the ungated world. There's some things like maybe you want to have like a case study or some content that's ungated. But if you have 5 solutions and I'm spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions of dollars, and putting together the best piece of content in the damn world on this topic, like, I'm not going to charge you anything, but you're going to give me your email, right? So I've earned the right to have your email for this piece of content.
Yeah.
And know who you are.
And just to push back on that a little bit, and I think that, because my conclusion on this is that most of the time in B2B enterprise, they're so far down the way that I'd rather have you try to figure out who this person is using a lead feeder type thing or some other technology than I would asking them to gate to get to the information that they need. There is very little content out there that, in my opinion, is worth gating. And that's the real issue. Like, if I write my next book, that's gated content, right? Because I put hours and hours and hours of research into it. But your basic piece of content, unless it's really truly, Forrester proprietary research where you're a consultant and you're providing that.
And we have 3 of those pieces too.
Right. Then it's, okay, fine. You have stuff that is truly exclusive. But most content out there is just regurgitated Google searches. So
it is. But I mean, we probably produced, I don't know, a few hundred webinars over the years.
Right.
If you just give your information once, you have access to 300 webinars, and we do really good content there. Right. So you want 300 webinars? Give us your information. I think that's a fair trade.
Yeah, it's a fair trade.
Yeah.
All right.
If you want to say a case study, here, you don't need to pay for that. If we don't do 300 word blog articles.
Right.
Fluff content, or I call it snackable content.
Right.
We don't snack. I want a full meal.
No snacks for you.
No.
All right.
I'm hungry.
Okay.
Come hungry.
Yes, exactly.
That's our number 1 core value is come hungry.
Come hungry.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, that's a perfect
Family
place.
style. Big meal. I want it all.
All right. We're going to wrap up this episode, and I'm going to provide some observations, and you are too, but I'm going to give you a second to think about the sort of top 2 takeaways, or 2 do's and a don't for you. But my top takeaways is, one, as a company, you really getting your employees on board with all aspects of the company, getting the culture, getting the values right, obviously is sort of ground zero when it comes to building a brand. Interestingly, we pivoted into this area of premium brands and not being afraid to charge more and offer more. Race to the top. And then lastly, we had an interesting conversation about content and trying to personalize it as best you can for the audience that is coming to your site. Those are 3 pretty good takeaways. What do you got? 2 do's and a don't.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about premium, whether you're selling to consumers or your business or an agency, what everyone wants is bigger clients and moving up market. So you want people to spend more money, you want to sell more expensive stuff, whatever it is. So and it's not being afraid to do that. It's like, hey, if you move on market, you have to provide more value. So, and everyone wants to do it. So think about what would it mean if you had something that was 5 times as much as right now? What kind of quality would it need to be? So I recommend that everyone kind of think through that. And then go and try to do that. I've never seen anyone that's going down market's difficult, moving up market. Everyone does it eventually. So, you might as well pull that forward. So I think that's a big takeaway. And next is like your brand. Your brand starts with your employees. And even saying the word your employees is uncomfortable. It's like the people you work with. Right. That your brand starts there, and building a bottoms up momentum of getting buy-in for different kind of things. Like that's really critical, and making sure information about your company starts with your brand, which starts with the people you work with. So, and you know what? When people on your website, to continue conversation, don't hope and pray. Offer them something in exchange for their email. That's it. Did you see how many visits you have? See how many emails you're collecting? Make it the goal to collect 5 times the amount of emails from people coming to your website. It works every time.
All right. So there you heard it. Collect those emails. And it does matter. And really, because we're really ultimately talking about building one-to-one relationships.
Then you can do one-to-one. Yes.
Then we can
Then you make sure you do one-to-one emails, whether it's a human or use tech like BounceX. Like, do the one-to-one.
All right. Speaking of one-to-one, thank you, each and every one of you, for listening to Renegade Thinkers Unite. I'm so grateful for your time.
Renegade Thinkers Unite.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to remind you that my cell phone, 917-679-8852, is open for ideas. I'm always looking for things that you think are problems that we need to solve here and put our renegade thinking caps on. And speaking of that, until next week, keep your renegade thinking caps on and strong.
Game on.
Oh, by the way, thanks for being on the show.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You've been listening to another great interview on Renegade Thinkers Unite with Drew Neiser. But the value doesn't end there. As a listener, you can download a free ebook from Drew, Renegade Thinkers, interviews with 11 trailblazing CMOs any business can learn from, top marketing thought leaders and proven executives from Time Warner, American Express, and Chico's, and others. Get your free copy at renegadethinkersunite.com/ebook. For listeners only, at renegadethinkersunite.com/ebook.